so
Let's do.
we are
Hey
going
guys, what's
right
up?
off the
So
river,
this is
so
kind of like
right
an
off the river,
impromptu
so
video where
Alright,
I'm not really going to script any of this. I just kind of want to give my thoughts on what's going to be happening with season 3, and I think the changes to the rank system are an important step in the right direction for Halo Infinite, because currently, I mean, if you've been around in streams and stuff, you've been hearing me talk about boosty boys and all that sort of stuff, and I sort of want to explain what I mean by all this and sort of how the true skill system works after having read the paper. And obviously, if you've read through this stuff, you feel free to correct me. I'm not the font of knowledge. I accept that sometimes I get things wrong, but this is my understanding. So the way that true skill works is you have a hidden MMR rating, and the game used that to make matches. And MMR stands for matchmaking rating, and there is only one way in Halo to gain MMR, and there is only one way to lose it. You gain MMR if you win. Even if you get absolutely smashed into the ground, you will still gain MMR. You'll gain less, but you'll still gain it. If you go plus 50 and lose, you will still lose MMR. And the amount you lose will vary depending on your performance, but if you lose to someone who's not as good as you will still lose a lot of MMR. And the CSR system was essentially completely disconnected from it, other than the fact that you gained your CSR based on your performance in that match. That was based on the MMR of the other team. So your CSR gains are not based on the rank of the other players. They are based on your performance in that match. And based on their MMR. So this leads to some very interesting scenarios, which are as follows. So if you are Onyx 1600, you can queue with anyone that's up to below Diamond 1-ish. So you could essentially run with 3 Diamond 1 players who have an MMR of 1100-ish. And you could have an MMR of 1600. And it will bring you down against Diamond 2s-ish. And that means that a Diamond 6 can play against a Diamond 2 team, go plus 15, and because he's winning, and because the MMRs of the teams are roughly equal, he'll get about plus 10. Which is dumb. And it also means that you can then abuse this system by purposely making new accounts called Smurfs, where you are Platinum 6, but you're not actually Platinum 6, and you are playing with a player who is legitimately Diamond 4, and you bring the MMR down, for a small amount of time, not permanently, and this allows the player who's Diamond 3 or 4 to get into Onyx. And so what you've been seeing is you see these matches where the average game MMR is 1100, and you get players who are Onyx 1650, which is ridiculous. So I think what they're trying to do here is there's clearly a disconnect between the rank of the player and the MMR that they sit at. And I think changing matchmaking to prioritize CSR is a good move, and it's for the following reason. If the matches are based on CSR, then when you are unranked, the game should use MMR completely. And it should also always calculate MMR for you, so that whenever you are unranked, you can be placed at an accurate rank. CSR should be used when you have a rank, because then the ranking system scales properly. So if you are at Diamond 6, and you fight against other Diamond 6s, and you win, you should receive points at a minimum of 5 for winning if you don't get trashed. If you get trashed, you should get 5. If you do okay, you should get 8. If you do amazing, you should get more than 10. So what's going to happen over time is, obviously in Season 2, we've got this weird moment where we're in between two systems. So there are going to be players who are like Onyx 1600, Onyx 1550, who aren't actually that rank, and they're going to get absolutely crushed. Because the game is going to match them based on their CSR, 1550, but their MMR is 1350-ish. So what this means is they're going to get train wrecked by the other people who were Onyx properly, and they're going to dip and dip and dip. And because they're losing at 1550, but their MMR is 1350, they're going to go like minus 12. Or minus 10. And this is really good. But it's only going to happen like that for a week. So when the ranks reset, we're going to be given ranks based on our MMR. And 343 have said that the highest rank you can be placed at is actually Diamond 1. Even if you were Onyx 2000, the highest you can place is Diamond 1. And this means that at the start of the season, Diamond 1 is going to be a very bad place to be if you're legitimately Diamond 1. But I think the system will place you lower than your expected and calculated rank by roughly 1 division, and that's kind of what happened last season, where I got placed Platinum 6, and then I ended up going up to Diamond 6, and then with a bit of effort, I got up to Onyx. So that's roughly what the game does. It places you a full division below where you are, more or less, for most people. And so Diamond 1's going to be rough for a while, but what we're going to find is that you can still boost to some respect, but what we should find is that because the ranking system now takes part in the calculation of match forming, the game should be a lot better balanced in the long run, because when you play against someone who's Diamond 4, they beat players who are Diamond 3. When you play against someone who's Onyx, they beat players who are Diamond 6. And so what this means is that the game has more... I think the word I'm looking for here is... it has more ground. The rankings have more meaning because... Not that they didn't have meaning before, but it was easily abused. The ranks will now have more meaning in the sense that if you are X rank, you have beat players who are lower than that rank. Whereas before, you could get Onyx by beating Diamond 2s if you had a team of Platinum 5s. No joke, you could literally do that. And we went against players who tried to do it in my grind up to Onyx. We ended up against 4 stacks where it was Platinum, 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 D6. Absolutely shameful behaviour. And the profiles of those players, I'm not going to tell you who they are, but the profiles of those players on Tracker Network, they've been absolutely annihilated. Since the changes to CSR, they've been destroyed. Because they're going against actual Onyx players and getting wrecked. So, you know, you reap what you sow. But anyway, the new system will make matches more robust in the sense that your rank will now more accurately reflect your ability. Now, you can still boost to some respect in this system, and MMR values will still be used to calculate your points gained and points lost. However, because the games are based on CSR, your MMR and your CSR should now be a closer number, because when you beat people of your rank, they should be of a similar-ish MMR to that rank, and so it should stay with it. The reason for that is because the game should be more tightly formed, because the ranks of the players in those games are more correct. Whereas before, we were in a scenario where your MMR could be vastly lower than your rank, because the game didn't care what your rank was, it only cared what your matchmaking rating was. And to make it worse... To make it even worse, you have a matchmaking rating per game type, even though you only have 1 rank. Yeah. So if you look at your post-game lobby, and you can go back in my streams and look at this, we have a matchmaking rating on Empyrean CTF of about 1560 in my 4-stack that I play with usually. However, we're not very good at streets strongholds, and we had a much lower matchmaking rating than that. It was like 1420. Even worse than that, and I'll openly admit it, my matchmaking rating at Argyle CTF was about 1370, which is really low. So what you're going to find now is because the game doesn't match by MMR, it means that you are going to have game modes that you suck at and you're going to lose. And you are going to have game modes that you win at. And the games are going to be really easy now. And it's going to make the ranks more centralized. It's just going to make more sense. So, I don't want to keep this video going on for too long. I've been rambling, but basically, matchmaking change is good. True Skill 2 has issues, but we can't get around it because it's just True Skill. I could do a follow-up video on how True Skill works if you want that, so drop it in the comments. There's a paper on it. It's convoluted. It's not easy to read. Luckily, I did some maths at university, so I kind of get what they're getting at, but I'm not going to pretend I'm some huge statistics buff, because I'm not. But that's my opinion on the new ranking system. It's a little late compared to other creators, but I think it's valid. Season 3, super excited. More videos coming out this week on Season 3 and the changes in it. So this has been Vanadam. And I hope you enjoyed this discussion video, as I'll see you in the next one. See you later.